Hi, I am an optimist, and no, before you assume anything about me, I do not wake up at 5 in the morning with sunshine and rainbows darting my vision. I do not drink green juice in the morning listening to motivational music, and if you do that, that's great. But today morning, I woke up at 5:45 a.m. And I looked at my watch and I thought to myself, 15 more minutes won't hurt, right? So I slept, I definitely did. But the problem was, the next time I looked at my watch, it was 7:30. I was what this generation calls absolutely cooked. So I panicked. I did about 10 things in the span about 2 minutes. I hurried, I rushed. But at the end of the day, I made it safe and sound to my school bus on time. And somehow that was enough to bring a smile on my face. Now look, spoken as a true optimist myself, I want you to come to my world, what I like to call the positivity realm. But before I begin, I want to ask you all a question. How many of you standing or sitting in this room right now are optimists? Great. Please put your hands down. To guide you through my world of positivity, I have 3 main destinations. First, the power of your thoughts. I want your full attention for the next 2 minutes. And I want you to shout out a number of how many thoughts do you think the human brain has in a singular day. In the count of 3, 2, 1. Okay. The truth is that there are up to 80,000 thoughts per day. Isn't that mind-blowing? With addition, about 80% of them lean negative. This is a term that scientists call the negativity bias. Now, what about that 20%? How do we reinforce it? I have an activity for you guys. I want you to take your right hand and put it on your chest. And I want you to repeat after me with all the optimism in your body. I am an optimist. I am happy. I am blessed. Put your hands down. Now look at the person sitting next to you and give them a big high five. Now smile at them. All right, now all eyes on me. Doing this simple activity makes you 3 times more happy than you were 2 minutes ago. Honestly, I find that fascinating. Now imagine how much happier you'd be if you did this again and again and again. Suddenly the world would feel lighter. Moving on to my second destination, I will take your hand and take you to the placebo effect. And what better way to explain this to you than with a story? How many of you here are extroverts? Look, please put your hands down. When I was at the ripe age of 9 years old, I was the biggest extrovert on the planet. I was so extroverted that I had a speech club where I would invite all my friends and their parents together, make them sit in a room and share speeches. Speeches, stories, essays, or anything creative that came to their minds. How many of you here are introverts? How many of you of those introverts hates public speaking? Now, one of my friends was just like you. But one day, she mustered up the courage and she told me, Purnima, I'm going to give a speech. That's great. And I'm going to make it the best one you've ever heard. Even better. So we practiced day after day and night after night. We stayed on calls. Just imagine 2 9-year-olds making a script longer than their life stories. But sooner or later, Saturday arrived. And then she stood in front of that podium, gave me a big smile, and she had a hint of amusement and happiness in her eyes. She looked at the audience and that amusement was gone. Purnima, I don't think I can do this anymore. I panicked. I reached in my pocket, and the first thing I found was a tic-tac. Then an idea popped to my head. So you know how my brother's a doctor and doctors help you when you're feeling really stressed, and this is a confidence pill. When you take it, you feel really confident. Believe me, 100% this works. Like, trust me, this is like my go-to for feeling confident. Okay. She took it, and within the next 30 seconds, she was back on the stage, ready to give one of the best speeches I've ever heard. And she did. But little did she know that said confidence pill was just a piece of sugar. And that is what scientists call the placebo effect. Now, what you can take from this is, here, I was the one giving optimism to my friend, and seeing my friend happy gave me optimism. You can use the placebo effect on anyone around you to make them feel instantly happier, lighter, and more reassured. And now I want to hold your hand to take you to our final destination, which is being grateful. Now look. I will not give you a long lecture about how you must always appreciate your friends and family, which is important, but you've probably heard it a million times. I want to tell you to look at things in a more microscopic level. Every morning, you all wake up. How many of you wake up? Raise your hands. All right. Now, how many of you actually appreciate the fact that you are waking up on a bed instead of a cold, hard street like another child in this world? How many of you appreciate the fact that you have cold water, cold, pure water to wash your face with every morning, which is a luxury to millions of kids around the world? How many of you appreciate the fact that you have a loving mother, father, brother, sister, or guardian that takes care of you and wants the best for you? How many of you feel proud that you have a school to go to that provides you multiple facilities that children can only dream about? Please put your hands down. When you start appreciating things, no matter how small or big they are, the world feels lighter, happier, and more endurable. And believe me, small things add up. Now, as we come to the end of my railroad of positivity, what are our takeaways? First, if you cannot find sunshine, be the sunshine. Second, you cannot avoid storms. But you can decide not to become one. Third, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Fourth, when life gives you a bunch of needles, make fabric. Sixth, when life gives you sad, make happy, happy. Now, before I leave this stage, I want to ask you one final question. How many of you standing or sitting in this room right now are an optimist? And that was all I needed to make my day better. Thank you, and have a wonderful day ahead.